So, welcome back to another special episode of the Half and Half Scarf Football Podcast with me, Nick, and my mate Dom. For those who know and have been following the podcast, we've just achieved our 12-month anniversary. If the World Cup wasn't here, we're a weekly podcast, comes out on a Monday. But because the World Cup is upon us and it's massive, obviously, from a football point of view, we're releasing podcasts at the end of every significant round. So, you will have already seen our observations in previous episodes about the group stages. We did 2 episodes on that. We've done an episode on the round of 32. And this is episode 55, on which we're going to look from a fan's perspective, observations on all 8 games in what has just been the completion of the round of 16. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you, if you haven't already met him, to my mate Dom. And Dom, we've got 8 games to go through, but before we do that, let's just thank a lot of people of what's happened to our podcast over the last few days. On Monday, I posted a posted a post on LinkedIn, which is where my exclusive sort of social media is, and it was about the situation with Balogun, and it was a disgrace about the fact that it had been intervention and Trump and all that kind of thing. And it got 76,781 impressions and 212 comments. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree as a result of that. Now, on Tuesday, once the USA got battered by Belgium, I thought it was only right to bookend that first post with another post, which was 4-1, and it said football 1, Infantino and Trump nil. And it was my observations as a football fan on justice and America being a bit shit. And, the first time they played anyone half decent from Europe, they got battered. And it was justice because they didn't play very well. 103,741 impressions, 202 comments. We even posted one of those in the LinkedIn group that we've got for the podcast. Nearly 10,000 impressions on that as well. So we certainly struck a chord. But the most important factor is we have had 2,000 plus downloads of our podcast in just over 2.5 days. So we thank everyone
Yeah,
who's supported us. We welcome new viewers and listeners. We've got a back catalogue that we're really proud of, which is league football. It's Premier League, Championship, observations on football in general, going back over the last 12 months. There's some really good stuff in there that we're very proud of. But, check the back catalogue out. We're not a World Cup podcast.
no, there's a few
Or,
specials, few guests in there as well. There's lots of different stuff in there. So
yeah.
we like to think there's a bit of stuff for everyone.
Mm,
And yeah, we are very proud of it. It's been a year. It's gone really quick, but
mm,
yeah, those numbers are staggering, mate. 2,000 downloads. Thank you, everyone. And I really
yeah.
hope it's when you've listened to it, you've thought, I like that. I'll listen to it again because
Yeah.
we welcome your listenership, viewership, your comments, any subject matter you want to discuss. We're happy to get stuck into it, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're really made up with it. So it's getting
We are.
some good engagement, and yeah, it was a very it was a hot topic to get on top of as well, to be honest, mate. So yeah,
You're not
it's
kidding.
it's definitely resonated with a lot of people.
99.9% of people were on our side in
Yeah,
terms of saying that it was all wrong, and that Belgium, if you can't beat Belgium, you've not made any progress. I had a little fallout with an American guy who was saying that he was very proud of the USA team and the progress that they've made, and I just wrote back to him and I said, well, you haven't made any progress, and he got a bit arsey. And if we've alienated USA fans because they think they've made progress when they haven't, that's just us as football fans with our observations, really. I don't want to go into the Balogun things. We could spend the
yeah,
whole day. First of
absolutely.
all, completely wrong. Secondly, political interference. Thirdly, corruption at the highest order
Yeah,
between Infantino and Little Orange Baby Man, and leave it at that, really, because they're out, and they're one of the games that we're going to review. Um, so yeah, I've got a quick observation on games in general, and it comes down to the hydration break because it happened in the very first game, Morocco Canada. The hydration break is set at sort of 22, 23, 24 minutes in the first half and 67, 68 minutes in the second half, right?
Yeah.
So when a player goes down, as a guy did in the Morocco-Canada game, went down with what looked like a decent level of injury at 21 minutes. He was down for nearly 2 minutes. So everybody just stood around like bloody idiots, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Then they restart the game when he's been sort of not stretched off but hobbled off. And then 2 minutes later, start the hydration break. Why can't you just have a hydration break? If someone's got an injury at 21 minutes or 67 minutes, why do they have to wait till it's another minute or two? So they wasted 2 minutes of just
Yeah.
standing around. And then we had like 30 seconds of play. And then the referee, next time the ball went out, he went, oh, hydration break with 3 minutes so we can put some adverts on. It's madness, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't get why it can't be more flexible. I hate the idea of them. I hate quarters. We've talked about that previously, but
Yeah.
why can't they just use common sense? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, common sense has gone out the window a long time ago, mate. And I suspect it might be to do with the TV scheduling. So the TV networks are basically like, well, we're expecting it at this time, and if
Yeah.
you suddenly launch it upon us a few minutes early, we're not going to be able to do it. I don't know why, because
Mm,
surely if you're covering the football, the hydration break is the hydration break, so you just
mm.
cover it, don't you? But maybe they have to make their pundits and co-commentators and everyone look beautiful and get them into makeup, a bit like we do before we do this pod, mate.
Yeah, we're
You know, so maybe it's that. I mean, yeah, I would just like to think that when something like that happens, you just go, okay, we'll just take our break now. Perfect. And
well,
off you go.
for
It
those who follow
disrupts it. It
cricket.
just adds it. It disrupts it, doesn't it? Because like to your point there, all of a sudden that's like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and it's like, come
Yeah.
on, you know that.
Well,
And,
if
and,
you,
and any injury or any time lapse like that can seriously disrupt momentum. It can
yeah.
change the flow of a game. So
Well,
yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. No.
if you think of cricket, for those who follow cricket, if there's a tea is due at 4 o'clock, and then someone takes a wicket at 5 to 4, they just have tea when the
Yeah.
wicket's gone. They don't go, oh, well, bring somebody out to face two balls because it's not 4 o'clock. They just have a bit of
Yeah.
flexibility, a bit of common sense. So anyway, that's just an observation on
Yeah.
the whole hydration break thing, right? So let's get into the games, and we're doing them in the order that were played. Morocco, Canada. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read out some of my notes, sort of observation match notes, as it were, and then we discuss each one
Yeah.
based on. That's probably for a structure. It's probably because there's 8 games, there's a lot to get through, isn't there?
That's
So
fine with me. Yeah.
I've got Morocco, Canada. It was a very poor first half. I thought Morocco were poor and Canada was slightly better than them in the first half, but it always felt inevitable that class would tell. And Morocco, in the end, won 3-0. And it felt like that was the difference in class between the two. Now, it was also a game that was refereed by Michael Oliver, and it was a very, very fussy performance, not surprisingly. He stopped every little thing. Piss poor kind of structure to the game. 4 yellow cards in the first half. 2 were very soft at best and hardly even fouls. But it felt like a Premier League referee had been let loose on a global
Yeah.
tournament. So we'll cover that in a sec. Brilliant, brilliant set piece goal for Morocco, and it just shows the value of set pieces. So, despite all this tippy tappy football that people play, sometimes lumping the ball into the mixer works. And the last thing I've got for you is a stat. This stat's astonishing, right? Morocco have got 4 knockout round wins in World Cup history. They had 3 before the game with Canada, and they won the 4th one by beating Canada. That is more than the entire African continent combined in terms of their knockout success as a continent. 3 was equal it, and 4
Wow.
was beating it. What a stat that is, mate!
My God, I would never have thought that. I just wouldn't. I would have, and rightly or wrongly, I would have instantly put Cameroon up there straight away. It's funny the things that you have in the back of your head or the perceptions you have, and then actually
Yeah,
you look at the history of it, you go, actually, I'm wrong. That's that's a great stat. It
it
just
is a
shows
great stat.
how strong they are. To be honest,
Yeah, I fancy him still. I still think they're
I
going to
do.
be. I think
Yeah,
they'll give France. I think they'll
I
give
fancy
France a
them to give
game.
France a really, really good game.
Mm.
It'll be, do you know, it'll be really exciting watching the World Cup in Morocco in 4 years' time because I
Yeah.
think they'll be brilliant co-hosts. But yeah, I think they just don't really fear anyone, do they? Whenever they play, they just look calm. All this is
Mm.
my. They don't fluster. They don't look stressed or edgy. They just get the job done.
Yeah.
And like you said, they make the most of every way to win a game, and they never look like they're rushing or running out of time.
Mm.
They just know what they're doing, and I think that bodes well to play France because I think you have to be like that to play France.
Yeah, I think they need to mix it up, don't they? I think the thing with it was, for me, Canada don't have a lot, do they? They're not a
No,
footballing nation.
no,
And Morocco looked like they were a bit off it in the first half, but it was like I say, it was inevitable to me that they were going to just turn a crank and maybe go up 5%, and
yeah,
that 5% difference, Canada couldn't live with them really. I thought Canada were poor. Morocco were really poor in the first half, but second half it was just counter attack goal, set piece goal, 3-0, moving on really.
job done.
Um, yeah, so the first of the hosts went out, and we'll come to the hosts as we go through the host countries. But Canada, you know, not a footballing nation particularly. I think they've enjoyed it, but they've not really troubled the score. Is that
No,
right?
and if it hadn't been a 48 team tournament, there'd have been nowhere near that round anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fair point.
yeah,
Okay, next one. I've called this one Beauty and the Beast. France versus Paraguay. Now,
yeah,
Beauty and the Beast. Okay. Having said that, okay, 6 minutes in, Kobe for France went down after bumping into a Paraguay defender on the edge of the box, and he rolled around like he'd been shot. So he set the tone for me as a football fan. I'm watching him going, "You're embarrassing there," because he was looking and rolling around, and he didn't get it. And like we've said before, they sort of suddenly realised they're not going to get anything out of it. Started running around and got up
yeah,
like a lunatic. Um, so then Paraguay must have thought, well, let's just kick shit out of them, because literally
yeah,
that's what they spent the
yeah.
next that was about 6 minutes in. So they spent the next 90 plus minutes kicking shit out of everyone from in a blue shirt. I think we played in blue. It might have played in white that one. I can't remember. But I've got here Bradley Barcola, yellow card early on. It wasn't even a foul.
No,
So the referee from Uzbekistan was appalling, right? He didn't touch Barcola didn't touch the guy, let alone foul him. Paraguay roll around. So France had 3 yellow cards, and Paraguay got no card of any colour in the entire game, because the referee from Uzbekistan. I don't know what Uzbekistan football is like. You must be able to kick lumps out of people if you're playing in Uzbekistan. And I've put here Paraguay dark arts. I've got tactical fouling, feigning injuries, slow to get up, slowing the game down, frustrating France. Not a great watch, but very disciplined, and admiring their best tactic and chance to win, because they knew they couldn't go toe to toe with France.
oh
They
yeah,
made they made Simeone look like a choir boy, to be fair.
yeah,
Um, but the bit I've got for you here, which is really in the first hydration break, we're in Philadelphia, and they started playing loud music in a video. Hey, baby, ooh, I want to be your girl. I'm thinking to myself, it's not a West End show.
no,
Put the music video off. Anyway, so football was the loser.
yeah,
Tactical fouling was the winner. And actually, what I enjoyed was the karma when France eventually scored, quite rightly, and Mbappe just smiling and laughing, because he was thinking, "You've tried your best, you got nothing now." And the
yeah,
Paraguay players' behaviour when the penalty was given was absolutely disgraceful.
yeah,
Scuffing the penalty, like they stood there, almost between the referee's legs, just
yeah,
scuffing the penalty spot. But I thought it was dangerous at the end, because they were trying to really seriously injure the French players. And, no wonder there was no love lost at the end when there was handshakes and all that kind of thing. I just thought it was a fascinating game. It was a terrible game, and I'm glad Paraguay are out, because if that's how you play football to win, there's no place for it. But
no,
I was kind of half hoping that they would do France, because I really do fear France are the ones to beat.
yeah.
So I
I,
don't know.
yeah, I fear they're the ones to be. They just they have this knack of just getting the job done against
Mm,
anyone, don't they? No
yeah,
matter who they
yeah,
play, they'll adapt the game. I was a bit disappointed in how Paraguay acted, to be honest, because I thought the way they approached the Germany game was a breath of fresh air.
it was.
They played good tactics, but they also played some good football.
Mm,
Whereas with this one, you just felt oh, this is the way we have to beat France. And I'm like, no, you actually don't.
Yeah,
It's just going back to all the kind of obvious, boring, waste of time stuff. And it's like, come on, there's why don't you just try and compete with them? I mean, I'm not. I
mm,
mean, not footballing wise, but use the same use the same
energy.
energy and ideas that you had against Germany. Just
Yeah,
try something that's football rather than all the play acting and all the aggression and the rolling around.
mm,
You lose the the impartial spectator straight
yeah, you
away
do.
because you're just like, oh
Yeah,
come on, you're just dicking around. And I think at this point of the tournament as well, you really have got to try and show some footballing merit at some point, aren't? Because otherwise you kind of you're a bit of a fraud, aren't you, if you're going to win
they
by
are.
any means apart from playing football? So yeah, I thought the best team won, the right team won.
Yeah.
But like you, I'd gladly like to see the back of France because I think it gives everyone else a chance.
It does. The other thing, I've got a couple of observations, tactical, well, game observations really. In the first half, France had 80% possession, 5 shots and none on target. So Paraguay's tactics were working, and I put here, could they hang on for 45 or, 45 and another 30 and hit France with a sucker punch? But they decided not to bother. They decided just to sit there and kick shit out of them. And I've also got here, controversy or otherwise, Rabiot for France. He's shit. Overrated beyond belief for me. He had three
Yeah.
shots from the edge of the box and none of them have landed yet. It was about 4 days ago. Absolutely shite, Rabiot. I'm sorry, but I don't know what he does. I don't know. He's Didier Deschamps. He's the water carrier for France, isn't he? He does nothing.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of him, to be honest.
No.
In terms of the quality France have, I've always been a little bit mystified, and I don't think he's ever offered enough at club level, to be honest. As well, he's not a player for me that you literally jump up and want to sign and be all over. Having said that, I'm sure he had a season at Marseille under De Zerbi, and he was absolutely brilliant. And then
Mm.
literally all the wheels fell off, and it all went bad, pear shaped in the dressing room. But
He, he,
you know,
he seems to be mentioned every transfer window with a move from somewhere to somewhere, though. So a lot of
yeah,
people either rate him or not. I just think he's absolutely bang average. And you know what? If you're looking for weaknesses in the French team, Rabiot and Upamecano, but Upamecano's played well in this tournament, so
yeah.
I don't normally rate him, but he's actually upped his game. So, everywhere else you look, you go, Christ Almighty, they are a good side.
Oh, I mean, through the middle, they're just astonishing, aren't they? I mean, they're
God,
really,
yeah,
really scary. So, I mean, you
yeah,
could, a lot of people listening might think, oh, Paraguay did a great job because they frustrated the hell out of them and minimized them to how they play. But for me, that's not really the way to play.
no.
To be that over aggressive, just sit behind the ball, frustrate the hell out of everyone. At some point, you've got to come forward and try and win the game. If you're just basically banking on trying to get through to pens, then
It's
there's
a
something
long
desperate
time.
going on.
120 minutes and injury time is a long time to do that, isn't it? Inevitably, it rarely works if that's all your tactics
Very
are.
rarely works. I mean, they got away with it against Germany, and they
Yeah,
made hard work of it, and Germany, let them off the hook. Really, France are never
yeah,
going to do that. So
no.
yeah, it's disappointing, to be honest. I was hoping for a bit more from them.
What's your view? Every tournament like this and the Euros and end of the football season, they always have goal of the season, right? I love a save of the season. I love
Mm.
looking at goalkeeper performances. Now, there's been some great saves in this round of 16, but the Paraguay keeper, deep into injury time, made a double save from Mbappe that was just, I don't know what he looked like he was made of mercury. He was that flexible.
Yeah.
He got back up, nearly snapped himself in half, and the second save was just brilliant. A double save from Mbappe, it was lethal. So I'm looking forward to hopefully ITV or BBC putting together a montage of save of the tournament because there's been some crackers,
Mhm.
we talk about Pickford. He made a couple of great ones against Mexico, but
Yeah.
there was a couple of great ones last night as well. So I like what's your view? Do you like saving the season? Like
Oh,
saving?
definitely. I mean, I'm a big one for a brilliant save where you just think, God, how have you managed to react to that quickly? I'm a big fan of the double save, and
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen a few from Pickford over the years. Which he's won save of the season for. And I remember one, random. I remember one he did against Chelsea a few years ago, and it was the season we literally had to beat Bournemouth last game of the season, and he had no right to make two stops like that. And if he had,
Yeah.
we'd have lost that game. We'd have gone down. So sometimes you look at things like that and think, wow, it is literally that moment that can make it.
Yeah.
It can change a game completely. I think there's been a good few this tournament. I remember the keeper for DR Congo had a blinder, didn't he?
Oh,
Until he succumbed to 2 goals late on
yeah,
from
yeah,
us. So there's
yeah.
been some. I mean, look at the guy the other night. Against the Norway keeper when
I know.
when the back pass, the loop, where he was, and he saved it from going in there, an own goal. That was an astonishing save. I know it was from his own player, but it was
Yeah.
an astonishing save.
Can I just say something about Nyland, by the way? It's the next, segue king, you mate. Next is Norway, Brazil.
Yeah.
Nyland apparently is out of contract. Well, I'll be honest with you. If you're looking for a goalkeeper, Middlesbrough probably need a decent
A
sort of.
decent keeper.
He's out of contract and he's had a brilliant tournament. So
He
let's go
has.
to Norway. Let's go to Norway. Brazil. I was looking forward to Norway
Oh, I
Brazil,
was. Yeah, I
and it
was.
and it did not let us down, did it?
No, Haaland
I
was different gravy. He was
well,
astonishing. He
well,
was.
I've written down here. Haaland does nothing until he does what Haaland
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Because, well, I've put here, first of all, can the Vikings pillage a result? That was my first, so before they kicked the ball. They started like a train, didn't they, Norway? They came at them and straight, and Brazil
Yeah.
looked like shell-shocked. And
Yeah.
I like that News who plays for Leipzig. He's a really good technical player, but they took him off at half time. So whether or not he had an injury or it was just a tactical tweak, I don't know. Guimaraes stuttering penalty, pathetic.
Oh,
What are you doing,
terrible.
right? Terrible.
Do you know what and here's another one that, and we've discussed this before. He stopped. That was not even a stutter. He stopped. They're not even
Yeah,
supposed to stop. He stopped. It's like you
yeah,
should just, as soon as they do that, you should be like, right, that's it. You've had your chance.
yeah.
No longer a pen. Fuck right off there. Oh, back over there. That's done. I mean, if they did that overnight, the stuttering penalty would vanish.
It would.
Terrible pen.
And
Absolutely awful.
and while we're on the subject, I want Newcastle fans. So Matty Buckley, I want you to come on to me on this one and answer me this right. On the subject of Bruno Guimaraes, I've never got him. Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a 10? Is he holding? Is he box to box? Is he combative? Is he all of them? None of them? I watch him and I go, I'm underwhelmed. Newcastle fans love him, right? But I
Oh,
don't know what
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what he is. I don't know what he is, and he's added no value to this Brazil team. I don't think, because Brazil have been bang average across the board, and he's been
Well,
just as bang average as everybody. I think.
well, in that, yeah, I think he's a good player. I recognise that he's a good player, and I've watched him up
As a
close.
what though, John? As a what?
I was just going to come to that. I don't know myself. He tends to just float for me around the midfield in general, and the difficulty is for me, he either has a brilliant game because his boss is where he is and he's in control of everything, or he goes missing, which
Yeah.
is which I think is quite reflective of Newcastle season last season. He's either
Mm,
on it or he's not. And please correct me, Newcastle fans, but I don't think. And people will say, "Oh yeah, but he's only as good as the players around him." Well, maybe to a point, but I remember that the game where Brazil beat Japan 2-1, and they were spaffing over his pass to Martinelli. It's like it's just a pass. If
yeah,
he
yeah,
can't make that pass, he shouldn't be playing professional football.
yeah.
It's like
True.
it's just it was a 10-yard pass. Seriously, get
Right.
over it.
I've got some more observations on this. Right. Okay. So I've got here. I've got another player who's up there with Jackson Irving. Right, because Jackson Irving, for those who listen, know I've got real strong feelings on this guy. Australian, plays for St. Pauli in Germany. He's played in England previously. He's played for Celtic. He's had a career as the worst footballer in history. And he's up there with Alexander Sørloth from Norway. I'm going to regret this on Saturday when Sørloth scores a hat-trick against
Yeah,
England. And I know I am. I know I am. He got hooked at half-time. He's just a big lump. Anyway, moving on from that. Odegaard, not a natural goal scorer or finisher, but a decent technician. And I think Odegaard, if you let him run the game, he'll run the game. One, I thought he
yeah,
played really well, but he's not a finisher and he's not a natural goal scorer. But I've just put here Cunha off the boil. He was hooked. Hendrick came on, missed an absolute sitter. He'd been in the pitch 30 seconds and just wasn't up to speed. And I just put here Haaland has scored in 14 international goals in 14 international games in a row. I put one single quality ball back of the net. He's done nothing else all game. Machine. Oh, then he's done it again. He's just
It's just I watched
astonishing.
it is really good sometimes where you see different clips of his goals. So that his first goal, and it's I've watched it on X a few times because
Oh,
someone posted it. You might have watched it. It's just focusing on him, and they were basically saying how and there's probably some truth to this as well, where he almost looks like he's feigning tiredness. He's just kind of plodding along, the way he kind of lolls along, and he's looking like he's disinterested, not really engaged, and he's just plodding. But all the time, you can see he's watching exactly what's going on the outside.
yeah.
And then as soon as he knows that ball's coming in, just that electric
Oh,
click of a finger speed, and bang, he's on it. And it's like we've said before, like he'll have games where he might touch a ball 4 times and 2 of them are
yeah,
goals, but
yeah.
that's what he's paid to do. But and I think I said in the last pod, what I love about him is he always knows where to be. His positioning is absolutely brilliant.
Mm.
So whether he gets the odd one that bobbles in, I don't care. He's in the right place to make it bobble in. And those 2 goals he scored against Brazil, just fantastic.
I think he'll have loved the first one against Gabriel, won't he?
Oh,
He would have
definitely,
absolutely,
definitely.
he
He
would have
had him on
loved
toast,
that.
didn't he? Gabriel's face. He did. I don't think he even realised he was literally coming in like a train behind him and just completely beat him all hands down.
Unstoppable in that because, like you said, the speed, the power, and the height,
Yeah,
unstoppable.
everything.
I've got
Yeah,
one more observation on the game. Neymar, I've never rated him, and he came on. And he won a penalty, didn't he? And he
yeah.
scored. Did you see him when he scored? Absolutely pathetic. And then the referee decided, oh, actually, I'll add another 3 or 4 minutes on it just to see if Brazil get a chance to win
I
it back.
know I was fuming at that because it was like, where on earth are you getting these 4 minutes
Yeah,
from? Because the game was over when it was the penalty. And do you know what? He was when he first started Neymar, you know, back at Santos and first went to Barca, and the Brazil World Cup in 2014.
mm,
He was an exciting player. That first couple of seasons he had at Barca were superb. He was a really good player. I mean, I know he was playing with brilliant players, but he was brilliant in his own right.
that
But I've got to be
PSG,
honest.
that PSG 6-5 reversal game was the making of him at that level. Remember in the
Yeah,
Champions League,
yeah, it was.
he
But
was
I've
brilliant,
got to
wasn't
be honest. Ever since he went to PSG in 2017, he's
he?
been done for me because
Yeah,
he just he had this massive inferiority complex and he wanted to be the main man. It's like you're going to Paris, you're at
yeah.
Barca, you're playing with elite players, and you're still not. And I've read quite a lot on this that he really did want to kind of break away and be the main man, plus the massive pay. And everyone goes on about, oh, he's been to hell and back with his injuries and everything. It's like, well, boo hoo. He
Yeah,
still managed to bag his lucrative contracts in Saudi Arabia, go back to
yeah,
Brazil. There's rumour he's going to be going to America to milk America dry for a couple of years, even though he literally can barely kick a ball anymore because his ankles are so fucked. It's like, do you know
yeah,
what, mate? Just retire
yeah.
because you haven't offered the game anything in probably 5 or 6 years.
I've never
And
rated him.
people might go, oh, you're being really harsh. It's like, no, I'm not. You can be a good player for a certain amount of time, but he
Yeah,
hasn't been a good player for nearly 9 years,
he's
robbing
the
a
sa-
living.
he's the same though, isn't he, as Ronaldo at Portugal? Because the Brazilian public almost demand if Neymar's got one leg fit, he should be in the squad. And
Like
I,
he
I,
offers nothing. He
I was
offers that.
surprised
And
Ancelotti caved into
yeah,
that. To be fair,
I to be honest, I think we talked about it before the World Cup started, and I said I don't really think Brazil will do well,
no,
and they haven't. In every single game, they started off slow, sluggish, laboured. The Brazilian way of football is dead.
yeah.
That ship sailed a long, long time ago. When you used to have these wonderful players who could do things where you were just thinking, how on earth are they doing that? The kind of player where you never knew what they were going to do at any given time.
But
That ship sailed a
they
long
had
time
five or
ago.
six of them at any one time in one team, didn't they?
Yeah,
5 or 6 of those
exactly. They've
players.
got
Now,
one now. They've
yeah,
got
Vinny
one in
Junior.
Vinny Junior, and for all his talent, his attitude and the way he acts off in the game is
Yeah,
just terrible. They just looked just like everyone. they just looked an ordinary team. Brazil,
Did
no
yeah,
sparkle, no pizzazz, nothing where you just thought, oh, they're going to suddenly do something. And yet, as per
no,
usual, commentators and pundits are all over them. It's like they've
no,
been terrible. Norway
Norway
won that absolutely
value,
deservedly. Yeah,
absolute value for the win. Right,
yeah,
let's bring us on to game four, Mexico England. Right,
yeah.
so all the talk before Mexico England was, we can't defend. We've got no right back. We've got altitude. We are bag average. Couldn't beat DR Congo very convincingly. They've lost two in '86 at the Azteca. All of which is true. All of which is true. And then there was the storms, then there was the argument about what time the kickoff
Yeah.
was, and there was loads of distractions and all that kind of thing. All I'll say here, and I wrote down here, what a game, what a team, what a squad performance, up there as one of the best England results ever for me. Because when we were up against it, 10 men, Kwanzaa, I've got no real argument with the red card. I think, unlucky because his
Yeah.
leg went over, but in the scheme of things, he caught the guy.
The timing of his tackle was unfortunate,
All
wasn't
that. So we're playing with 10 men at altitude, all that kind of stuff. Mexico had one tactic: pump the ball into the box, pump
it?
the
Yeah.
ball into the box. And I'm going to say here, hats off to Thomas Tuchel, and saying, you know what, we'll just put Dan Burn on down. I'm not a big fan of Dan Burn at all, but Dan Burn has his own altitude sickness, doesn't he? 6 foot, like 8 or whatever he is. And I thought when we were backs against the wall, God, it was tense, wasn't it? But bloody hell,
20
I
minutes
thought
of it as well.
I thought
Literally.
the whole squad just dug in and dug in. I just put here, wow, wow, wow. First half with Jude Bellingham, 2 goals in 2 minutes. You're thinking, what am I witnessing here? Couldn't hold on. Great finish,
Yeah.
is what it is. And then second half, you're thinking they're going to be all over us here. And Harry Kane to put his penalty away under that kind of level of
Oh,
pressure. No stutter there, Harry. No stutter at
that
all,
was
Harry.
a classic Harry Kane pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've written here at 3-1, it's a long 30 minutes to play. And then you're looking at it going, they give him a penalty. That was a joke of a penalty, really. It was never a pen, I don't think. But in the scheme of things, and I've put even Jed Spence and Dan Burn, who I'm not a big fan of either of them, coming on, and it was like the Alamo, wasn't it? And at the end, the
It
sheer
was.
relief, and the funny bit was the contribution of Jordan Henderson to the entire game. He got a yellow card and then got stretchered off, and he never touched the ball. And you know what? He won't be able to deal the cards when he's playing bingo and cards anymore,
I
will he? That's his only
know.
job there. So I don't know
Yeah.
what. But the whole thing, apart from Henderson's sort of joke of an injury at the end, was relief and enjoyment, and indeed pride in
Yeah,
really
I
a
felt
brilliant
that as
job, well
well.
done.
And
Yeah,
I felt that. And I'll be the first to hold my hand up and say I didn't think we'd win.
no, I
I
didn't.
was the omen of doom. And I think it is because I'm so used to watching England at major tournaments and always feeling like they're going to do it and then they
Mm,
disappoint. And I know you shouldn't always judge it like that, but it's hard when you've seen it so many times. And sometimes, and I'm not a huge one for stats and things, but all the things that were against, I was like, oh, that's just it's just mapped for failure. And I didn't ever once say we can't do it. I
yeah,
just didn't feel that we would. And I
yeah,
think the only thing I thought was going for us was the fact that at the kickoff time, because even though it's at altitude, you haven't got the intense heat. And I thought the fact that it was stormy, I think the weather helped. But yeah, I was with you. I just thought finally at a major tournament, we've really stepped up and put in a
mm,
real performance. And then when you get dealt that hammer blow, and it is 30 minutes, isn't it? Plus the added, I think was it 30 or 40 overall once the added had already been added
yeah,
on. It's
yeah,
like that is an enormous amount of time. I remember and was watching it and thinking, God, I'm not sure we're getting through this time frame because they were literally absolutely battering us. But I was with you. I strangely got to a point where I I was quite at peace with it because we were just
mm,
doing everything right. I mean, and even then, and hats off, I've been critical of the likes of Jed Spence and everything else, but they all did
yeah,
exactly what they were supposed to do. And we talk about it a lot on our pod about game management and the manager making decisions that help the team. He
mm,
absolutely got that bang on. He got that spot on to fit scenario that was presented with him and how to get around it. And you could see the players absolutely wanted it as well,
He's a
which was
tournament.
amazing to see.
He's a tournament manager, isn't he,
Yeah,
Tuchel? And and you look at it and go, he was proactive where, and I don't want to go over all ground where previously we haven't been proactive, we've been
yeah,
reactive after the event. And I think if we hadn't have made the changes, we'd have got pulled back to 2-2, and then it's game on for
yeah.
Mexico. So proactivity by Thomas Tuchel, brilliant, well done on that. But here's a question for you, right? We're really closest because we're England fans and we're English, and the English media are all
Mm.
over it. Do you think any other countries sat up and took notice of us as a result of that game? I think they did.
Ooh, very good question. I'd like to think yes, they did. I think they'd be foolish not to, because we've said all along, and we might get it wrong, and I think both of us would agree we'd love to get it wrong if England actually lift the World Cup, but neither of us have ever felt that we're strong enough and have the mentality to win it.
Mm,
Um, but actually, seeing some of our performances and how we've dug in against certain teams where you just think, God, this really isn't going our way, and we still managed, like DR Congo, we still managed to pull it round and win 2-1.
yeah,
Sometimes it's things like that where you just think the players have got a bit. They feel like they've got a bit of steel, like they're not just caving in, they're not
yeah.
giving in. They're being managed by the right person who's literally not letting them get away with anything at all.
Mm,
They seem to be there seems to be a really good bond and camaraderie in the squad where they all want to do well for each other.
mm.
And I would think that if teams or if other countries aren't sitting up and paying notice and thinking we actually need to
Be careful.
really pay attention here, they'd be foolish. I don't think for 1 minute that Norway will be, taking us for granted. They'll be really doing their homework on us because they're a meticulous Scandinavian detailed country. They'll be really,
Yeah,
pull out all the stops. And what I and I'm not trying to jinx it here at all. I just really hope that because actually I am far more optimistic about us beating Norway than I was about us beating Mexico.
yeah. I am.
And I just hope that the England team don't then let us all down and we go, oh, that's the performance we expected against Mexico. I hope we just keep on getting stronger, mate, because I feel that we are. And I haven't
Yeah.
felt like that in a tournament with England for a long time, where I actually feel game by game
Mm,
we're getting better. We're getting into the tournament more. We're getting a feel for the situation and the games and how they're playing together. And not that not the players haven't wanted it in the past, but I think you can really see like I say, a genuine team kinsmanship of wanting to actually
mm.
get this over the line. So
Yeah,
if we get through the Norway game, and I know you got to do it 3 times, that's a big ask of any team, but it'll be to get to a semi final. It'll be yeah, almost getting to the point of like
it's
Italia
touchable.
90 again, where you're thinking,
Yeah.
oh, this is getting exciting. So yeah,
Slight worry, slight worry. Okay, and those who don't know, if you listen to this for the first time, this is the first time you've heard this. Um, the yellow card situation with England on
oh yes,
Saturday
yeah,
is if Bellingham, Rice, Gahey, and one other, O'Reilly,
yeah,
all of them are on yellow cards. If any of those four pick up a yellow card, it means they miss the semi final if we beat Norway.
yeah,
So Bellingham can't be Bellingham fully on Saturday because when he's Bellingham fully, he might leave his leg in, he might talk
yeah,
to the referee.
yeah,
Rice got booked after a minute against Mexico. I think we could live without O'Reilly. I don't want to. I think he's played great against Mexico, but
yeah.
you can't lose Rice or Bellingham. I don't think, can you? You just can't.
No, and I'd go as far as to say as I think Mark Gay in defence has actually got better as the tournament's gone on
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So yeah, that is a big worry for me.
It
But
is.
the
It is.
biggest one of all is just because of how he's played and just Bellingham and
Yeah,
Kane have literally they've been the game changer. And I'm not no disrespect to all the other players in the team, but those
no,
two by a country mile have been head and shoulders above the rest.
absolutely right. Let's come on to Spain, Portugal. It won't take long. Dull, fell asleep after the early morning England game.
Yeah,
Crap even on the highlights. Thankful for a late goal by Mourinho because it basically meant we didn't have to sit through another half an hour even on the highlights. And it was a brilliant ball that ended Ronaldo's kind of World Cup escapade because it was great to see Ronaldo sulking off having lost, because there's nothing more sad than Ronaldo thinking it's all about him. So in the course of, and we'll come to the USA in a minute, in the course of 24 hours, the World Cup lost Ronaldo, lost USA, nearly lost Messi. Can you imagine Infantino? He'd have been thinking some arms,
Oh,
wouldn't he, for
yeah,
freedom? But
yeah,
I've got another stat for you, mate. Got another stat. Really good. I like a stat.
you do.
In this World Cup, 52 of the 272 goals, that's 18.9%, have been scored by subs. That's the highest since subs were introduced in 1970 in the World Cup. And yes, kids, they didn't used to have subs in football. Until 1970, 11 players kicked off and 11 players kicked the shit out of each other, and
Yeah,
11 players stayed on the pitch.
yeah,
So from 1970, so far, nearly 1 in 5 goals have been scored by subs, which proves, doesn't it? They call it starters and they call it finishers now. They don't call it subs. They're the game starters, game finishers, and actually the value of a good substitute. Mourinho being on the pitch 5 minutes and put the game to bed against Portugal. You know what? I was glad, but Spain, talented as they are dull as hell. They've not conceded a goal. You know why? Because they've put the opposition to sleep, and the opposition just gone, oh, can we just finish? I'll let you score. I want to go.
yeah,
Terrible to watch. Terrible to watch. But they
yeah.
might go on and win it.
Oh, they might suddenly, click and do something sparkling. But do you know what? I don't see it. I just don't see it. For me, they'll always be a hard team to beat, and they can always surprise you with something. That's
Mm.
just that's always been Spain. But this Spain team, they do look laboured. They don't look like they've got
Mm.
a spark or any imagination about them. And I think they're there to beat. I wouldn't be surprised if Belgium surprised them and
Yeah,
kicked them off the park. Because Belgium have looked fairly abject until playing the USA. And to be
yeah.
honest, the USA were terrible, but you still got to beat what's in front of you. They beat them handsomely, so you never know.
Se- Segway King. All I'll
Oh,
say is that Portugal only pushed forward after conceding
yes,
on
yeah,
91 minutes. They spent 91 minutes sitting back,
they were.
and
Yeah,
then they concede. Why?
they're terrible. They've had an. To be honest, I mean, he's gone now, and he couldn't go quick enough. Roberto Martinez, honestly, he's an absolutely terrible football manager. I mean, and
Yeah,
I've watched him firsthand at Everton. He was bloody awful, and he got 3 years there. And he's one of those managers. He's a bit like a chief exec of a company. He manages to keep sailing up rather than down.
yeah,
And I listened to someone the other day, or read something, and he said, "Oh, I interviewed Roberto Martinez once, and I absolutely hated him. Didn't rate him as a manager at all." And he said he's one of these people that has this way of speaking to you that when you walk out of a room, you suddenly absolutely love him and think he's the best manager in the world. It's the way he manages to literally bullshit you to death with his little slogans and how he says things. He's
he was
terrible.
he was linked today with the Scotland job.
Oh, wow. He'll ruin them. Honestly, he'll ruin them.
Anyway,
In Belgium, he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to manage anything in Belgium. They just
no,
he had a wealth of talent. And he still couldn't win anything. Portugal, he just literally caved and was there to just be Ronaldo's bitch, basically. I
he
mean,
was.
he should have canned Ronaldo a long time ago, because Ronaldo's literally held Portugal back for
Yeah.
probably the last 4 years. I mean, did anyone hear Bruno Fernandes' name mentioned any time in any World Cup game?
I was about to say, for all those Man United fans who've been spaffing about Bruno Fernandes and all his assists this season, Bruno Fernandes might as well have not been playing, because I've never heard his name mentioned
I, I
once. He's
think he
done
I think he was
nothing.
invisible. Yeah, and it's because Ronaldo has to do everything, and he's
Mm,
he's literally held Portugal back for the last 4 years.
yeah,
The difference is, and we'll get on to this, and we'll have a conversation about Messi. But the bottom line is, Messi is still a player that's able to produce. Ronaldo hasn't
yeah,
produced anything in a long, 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 long time, and he's
no,
been kicking around getting £1 million a week in Saudi Arabia.
yeah.
Seriously, man, just retire, because he's another one that has been a brilliant football, an absolute genius. In his pomp, he was sublime, but he hasn't been that player for 6, 7 years, and he's raking in the money. Just retire, man.
It's
Honestly,
quite sad to watch, I think.
it
Anyway,
is
let's
sad to
move.
watch. It's like it's not accepting that your time's done. Just
Yeah,
and I think Portugal wise, he should have saved face and done the decent thing and stepped back a long time ago and let other players flourish. But to be honest, Roberto Martinez needed to have grown a backbone and just
Yeah.
literally not played him. And he didn't do that at all. And then he
Here's
came out with this
the thing.
absolute bollocks at the end of
Yeah.
his, and he couldn't resign fast enough. Literally, as soon as the game was done, you could almost see Roberto Martinez patting his suitcase. He had his Hawaiian his shirt on. He was off on his jollies with his nice big payout.
You could see him handing his lanyard in as he walked
Yeah,
past. Couldn't you,
as he was
really?
pegging off to the plane.
Right.
Yeah,
Very briefly, because of conscious time, got three left. USA versus Belgium. I'm put here, shows the real level of US soccer, getting thumped by a fairly bang average European side. They hadn't played anyone decent until then. They got beat by a terrible Turkey side, and I don't know why they thought they were going to go that far in the tournament. The sideshow by Trump and Infantino was a distraction, and if it was, serves them right. And it looked like it fired up Belgium, who thought they were going to be, like
yeah.
really. I've put here good riddance. Trump and Infantino were furious and sulking in equal measure. And I put USA, not a proper football nation, and the MLS just proves it. Now, don't react to the MLS, Dom,
I'm
because
not.
those who
No, I'm
listen to
not.
this podcast will know those three letters MLS is like red rag to a bull. Just USA versus Belgium, a great win for Belgium.
Yeah,
Really bang average Belgium, but they put USA at the sword. And actually, the third goal with the keeper and then Ream tripping over his own legs, it was hilarious to
it
watch,
was.
wasn't
It,
it?
it was, and I loved Belgium celebrations afterwards, and they were taking the Mickey
Yeah,
out of Donald Trump. And I just thought, and you can
yeah,
tell he'll have watched that. He'll be sulking away somewhere. And he'll be planning something because he's such a vain, morally bankrupt man. I mean,
yeah,
the stuff he was coming out with.
just wrong.
Oh, he's like a petulant 4-year-old in a playground with his mates and his little nodding dogs behind him. But on the game itself, yeah, I think the whole thing massively backfired. And for all the talent Balogun is, it's everyone was building up with some almost like the next Messiah. It's like he's okay, he's a talent, but he's not that great. And
Nah,
I think he really showed his limitations. He had a couple of good runs, and he forced the free kick that they scored from. But other than that, he was non-existent. And whether it was all the noise that created USA literally down in tools and being all over the place. Quite frankly, if that's what caused it, then it's karma. It's beautiful karma. Because as soon as he got his red card, apparently all the USA legal teams were all over. It's like, fuck, this is this
it's
is
just
this is
football.
US sport in a nutshell, right
Yeah.
there. It's like, do you know what? You've learned a
What I would
lesson.
say,
You've got your asses spanked.
yeah.
Now, fuck off and deal with it.
Go and win the World Series that you don't invite anybody else to and call yourself world champions. Now, I will
Yeah.
just say a final point on this. None of this is Balogun's fault.
No, none of it's his fault at all. But in fairness, Pochettino, and he's never going to do this because he's a manager and he'll be under intense pressure.
Yeah,
But Pochettino could have also had a bit of integrity and thought, you know what? No, it was.
it's wrong.
It is what it is. You can't be going and interfering. I'm just going to bench him, and
Yeah,
we'll play. And you know what? I know it's easy to say that in hindsight, but in hindsight, that might have worked a lot better for them.
yeah. Right, two more games to go. One of them's a dog with fleas, so that won't take long. But the next one in order, Argentina, Egypt. Now, we could talk for days,
Oh,
but this is up
yes.
there. This is up there. I would say I've watched the World Cup since 1970. I've seen some sensational games, and I still think that the best game I've ever seen in context of the game was Italy Brazil in 1982
Yeah.
with
I
Paolo
remember that
Rossi.
vividly. Yeah.
I think that will be hard to beat, but there's been some crackers. England Cameroon in '90s. I think you've got South Korea beating Italy in 2002 in the
Yeah.
quarterfinals. I think you've got the World Cup final last time. Been some brilliant games, and this Argentina Egypt game I think would make the top 10 of anyone's list.
Yeah.
Really, it had everything except it had, for conspiracy theorists, just a slight twist of really, I don't think that Egypt were badly done to with the decisions at the end, but it just feels like the dice have been lined up and rolled for Lionel Messi and Argentina. However, what I would say to you is this. The goals that Egypt scored and the one that was chalked off, that was as soft as shit, by the way. That going back and re-refereeing something 5 moves
The
ago,
disgrace that.
which wasn't even a foul, but
Yeah. It wasn't
actually
a foul. He got brushed off the ball.
that would have been in the top 5 goals ever in the World Cup. That Hassan guy,
Beautiful goal.
unbelievable, beautiful
They
goal.
couldn't
And
wait to chalk it
they
off,
couldn't
though,
wait.
could
No, they
they?
couldn't.
And
And
what
so
annoyed, and we've been saying all along, we've really enjoyed the fact that VAR's had limited input. Referees have gone with their decisions. Sometimes they've even overruled VAR, and it's been really refreshing. But
not
as
now.
we've now got into the knockouts, VAR's slowly creeping in. It's getting more and
Yeah,
more involved. UK VAR's done its nice thing of ruining everything like it always does,
yeah,
and it's just starting to spoil it. And yeah, I don't want to detract what you've said about it being a fantastic game. And Messi is a sublime talent, and he does have a brilliant influence on a game. But and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've long since believed that there is a narrative that. And interestingly, I watched Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker, and was it Joe Cole talking about it. And Joe Cole even said, it happens in big football, big players, big managers, where even if it's subconscious, they get decisions that other
yeah,
players and
yeah,
teams don't get. And
yeah.
it's like, you could almost say there was an infringement for the Argentina third goal, but no one looked at it. And there was
No,
nothing wrong with that Egypt goal. I know people say, oh, but they went and scored straight away. Hang on. No, because
no,
as soon as that goal is disallowed, it changes the trajectory of the game
it
completely.
does.
And that
Yeah.
should never have been disallowed. I mean, the way the Egypt manager reacts is probably a bit out of order, and there's always a way of saying things, but sometimes you've just got to say what you feel.
What I loved about the fact that the second goal was disallowed, they went and scored an equally brilliant sort of
Yeah,
set. And as it went in, and I'm in the lounge watching it, as it went in, I'm going, that's staying. They're not chalking that off. I was watching in the,
yeah,
there was no foul, there was no pull, there was no offside, there was no
and
nothing.
that's what's brilliant when you know that they
Yeah, and
can't
he's going,
find anything.
that's
Yeah,
staying, that's staying.
yeah,
And at 2-0, you're thinking to yourself, this could be a real upset. But once Argentina got back into 2-1, Egypt looked knackered. It looked like it took the steam out of them, and it was a bit like the England game, the Alamo, but they didn't have what it took. They didn't have Dan Burn and Jed Spence, did they?
no, no.
So
And when you
yeah,
get to 2-2, we were talking last night, weren't we? It's being tired and knackered, and they run themselves ragged. But it's also that you get to 78 minutes and you're 2-0 up, and all of a sudden you're 2-2. And I think just the feeling of being stunned, I think
yeah,
that can literally suck the energy out of you, literally.
yeah. I wrote down at the end of the game for Argentina, that was the very definition of hard fought. That was
Yeah,
absolutely, they looked relieved, knackered, pleased, delighted, and all those emotions in one. And you know what? Argentina are going to be in the last quarter, in the last 8. They'll be hard to beat. But I wasn't that impressed. Here's a question: Lautaro Martinez.
mm,
He's brilliant for Inter. I've watched him the last 4 or 5 seasons for Inter. He's always top scorer in Serie A.
yeah,
He gets 20, 25 goals a season. Looks like he couldn't hit camel's arse with a banjo in an Argentina shirt. He didn't score at all in the
yeah.
last World Cup. I don't think he scored in this World Cup. He's
No,
absolutely abject in this World Cup again.
and it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you sometimes think if Messi wasn't in this team, would other players be able to step up and shine and kind of like step out of his shadow? Maybe that's
No,
some of it. For all they've got a wealth of talent, I have to say, and I'll stand by this, and people might disagree, that's absolutely fine. That's the beauty of football and having your own opinions. But you take Messi out of that team, and they're a very average team for me.
yeah,
They everything runs through him. As soon as he changed position, went out wide, and suddenly
yeah.
started getting more on the ball, the game changed. But without him being in the game, I don't think they win that game 3-2.
Before they scored their first goal, he made a little run from the edge of the box, beat 2 players, and got to the byline. And it just went out for a goal kick.
Yeah,
But his little feet were magic. And you think to
yeah,
yourself, Messi's just arrived again, hasn't he? And it looked inevitable, didn't it, at that point? But what a game! I was privileged to watch it. 5 o'clock kickoff. Wouldn't it be great if they were all 5 o'clock kickoff?
oh
Right.
no,
Bring us to the last of our last round of 16. It won't take long. Switzerland, Colombia. Now. I'd forgotten Switzerland were in the tournament.
I
People keep saying, watch out for Colombia at a good time. I've got a Simon Jennison. I love you, mate. You know we do. He's a funny Barnsley lad, and he's put here. Sent me a note. He said, "I absolutely hate everything about Switzerland. I hate the place, the chocolates, the cheese, the football team, almost everything." He said, "But at least the flag's a big plus." That is the that is That's the worst
Oh,
dad joke.
Simon. Oh,
Simon Jennison, that is
love
the
you.
worst dad joke,
Brilliant.
but brilliant.
Brilliant.
It made me laugh at least. And he sent me a picture of the flag on the. I know what the flag looks like, Simon.
As
He
if
said,
to emphasize
yeah,
the
brilliant,
joke. So
brilliant.
bad it's good, Simon. Yeah,
Yeah, so well done.
absolutely.
And you know what? That's the highlight of the game for me. I had the first half on in the background, and I hardly looked up because there was no excitement. There was 9 combined touches by both sets of players in the opposition's box in 45 minutes. 9 touches between two teams in
God
45 minutes. I put you just need a winner, just get it done. Don't go to extra time. Oh shit, extra time.
damn.
And I've put Luis Diaz was having a swing and a miss at everything. He's been brilliant for Bayern. Again, a bit like
Yeah,
Lautaro Martinez, couldn't hit
yeah.
Camel's arse with a banjo. Definite penalty for Switzerland on 92 minutes, not given and not even VAR checked. I'm just thinking, just put us out of our misery. Colombia missed an absolute sitter after a glaring error by Switzerland at the back, 5 minutes to go. It was like a shocking miss.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, penalty shootout. Do I care? Not at all. Here's the thing. Switzerland are in the last 8 of a World Cup.
Staggering, isn't it, to be honest?
How's
Yeah.
that happened?
I I don't know because I think we said on our last pod I didn't even realise they were in the last 32 and 16. I was completely stunned and surprised. So
Yeah,
they've just quietly slipped through the net. I think they're going to get found out in the quarterfinals. But you know what do we know? So
yeah.
you never know.
They're functional, aren't they?
They yeah, very functional. But I just feel they've got a Tonkin coming their way. I
Yeah,
do. I really feel it. But Granit Xhaka has been running the midfield, hasn't he? So he's
yeah.
loving life. Yeah,
It is. Well, there you go. Right. Okay, folks. It's quite a long episode. We try and get them in under an hour. It's probably there or thereabouts, not too far off. So we've reviewed, observed. We haven't really done tactical observations. We don't do that. There's plenty of places to look at tactics and 4-3-3 versus 4 two
yeah,
two and inverted wingers and all that shit. We football fans, we like football. We talk about football. We observe things on football. So that's been the episode on. You know what, mate? We are definitely at the business end because
yeah.
that was the round of 16. That was 8 games, 2 of which were shocking, by the way, and 2 or 3 of which were excellent, which was good to see. Um, so what we're going to do next is, I should remind you, we've still got our quiz in our LinkedIn group. We're on day 30 almost of 39. And if you've not seen it, have a look at it. And at the end of the quiz, I'm going to ask anybody who wants to have a copy of all 39 questions. If they want it, they can have it. And we'll share that with people. But it's been quite popular. It's been quite hard as well. So
Been very hard, mate.
don't
I've
get
been
intimidated.
terrible at it. Yeah,
Yeah, you have. So on Sunday morning, Dom
yeah,
and I, Dom and I are going to record episode 56, just as the last quarter final has finished in the early hours of the morning. Now that is getting serious when we get down to the last 8. So we're going to do a review, observations as football fans on what we see in those 4 games. And it's another episode that's coming out as a special because we normally release our episodes on a Monday, but during the World Cup we're releasing them now at the end of every round. So quarter-final observations will be coming out on Sunday as a result of the quarterfinals finishing in the early hours of Sunday morning. Dom, been great as ever.
yeah.
Are you a
Absolutely.
quick question I should have asked you? You weren't hooked on this World Cup very early on, and you weren't really hooked at the round of 32. I'm not convinced you're as hooked as you would have been normally if this was a 32 team World
Yeah.
Cup. Has it hooked you in yet, mate?
It's slowly getting there. The games, the kickoff times aren't helping me. I've said that before. I do prefer, nice regular kickoff time. I'm not a big one for um, early morning kickoffs and things like that. So that
Yeah,
I have struggled with that, and I have struggled with a bit of getting into this tournament because there's quite a lot that's tarnished it for me. But
yeah,
watching some of these games in the round of 16, it has started to get me more excited. There is some really good football being played.
yeah,
Um, I'd like to see VAR be a little bit, easy-handed going. I fear they won't be, But I am really excited for all of these next four games. I'm
Excellent.
really looking forward to them starting tomorrow with France, and I'm going to be watching them all. And I'm, particularly excited for the 10 o'clock on Saturday night for England. So
Excellent.
I imagine we'll have a lot to talk about because I think these four games are going to I think they're going to be entertaining, and I think it might be the odd surprise amongst them as well. So
I
yeah,
think they're often. I've thought about all killer and no filler. We're now at the place where we're not
yeah,
watching
we are.
straight out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is the bit I love. This is really. I just don't think you can sit back and try to hold a team for 90 minutes, 120. I think each team that's in there, I feel will actually try to go and win it.
Well,
Yes,
the
even
two
Switzerland, to be honest, as well. So um,
the two steps away from glory, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to just put your own stamp on it. You can't do what we were talking about, like the likes of what Paraguay were doing against France. You just won't get away with it. So this
No.
absolutely is the time now where it's literally all these games now, proper ones to watch. So yeah, I am. This feels like I've actually arrived at the World Cup, mate. So I think
Good stuff.
I'm excited for our next one. But hopefully there'll be some good stuff to talk about. I'm sure the games won't disappoint.
Excellent. So don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share on all your favourite platforms. Check out Huddle Up, who are our partners that we talk about when it comes to our league situation. They're looking at building relationships with Championship and EFL clubs. Will come more of that as we finish the World Cup specials. But thank you for your support. Thank you as a new listener, new viewer. Thanks for downloading. Please feel free to share. Please feel free to get involved. Please feel free to come back to us. I'm looking to pick on another sensitive topic so we get even more engagement. But could not be more delighted with how the week's gone, except for the distraction, the fact that my phone has lit up like a Christmas tree all week with people commenting and sharing and liking and supporting. But you know what, that's one of the things that we do it for. But I've got a full-time day job as well for myself, so anyway, let's move on from there. Thanks for your help, folks. Thanks for your support. We'll see you on episode 56 at the weekend. See you later, Dom.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, I echo everything you've just said. So wholeheartedly agree. And I'll see you on the next one. Looking forward to it. Cheers, mate. See ya.
Cheers, mate. Bye.